Chapter 71. You have no right to take the exam. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 2 days went by in a flash. It was the day of the exams. Today, the Beast Appraisal Association of every city will be hosting a centralized Beast Appraiser certification exam. The advancement exams for certified Beast Appraisers would also take place on the same day. Needless to say, it was a significant day for the Beast Appraisers community. The sapphire turtle was gone from Lin Jin's yard. Zhu Can came to take him away yesterday. The venom in the turtle's body was mostly cleared out, and Zhu Can was almost done taking care of things at home. After hearing about Lin Jin's circumstances, Zhu Can was furious. He even said that he would bring his sapphire turtle along to the association to cheer Lin Jin on. Once he was done packing up, Lin Jin got ready to leave. As he feared the monster, the black anaconda, might come back in search of revenge, Lin Jin had been sleeping next to Xiaohua while Goldie was forced to move his nest to the head of his bed for the past 2 nights. Whenever he left the house, Lin Jin would bring Goldie along. Hence, he became quite the center of attention with a fire wolf and a large rooster following behind him on the streets. The Beast Appraisal Association was packed with people. Tons of people took the exams every year, but only a handful would manage to pass. Those who didn't make it through would be given an opportunity to become apprentices where they could stay at the association to learn and prepare themselves for the next exam. Thus, most of the exam participants were apprentices. When Lin Jin arrived, some people recognized him immediately. Lin Jin is really here. His skin is as thick as the city walls. Lin Jin ignored the ridiculing remarks. After claiming his exam token, he waited until it was time to enter the exam hall. At that moment, Zhao Ying, Lu Xiaoyun, and Han Dong showed up. Master Lin. The 3 apprentices bowed. Master Lin can definitely pass the Beast Appraiser's certification exam again. Zhao Ying declared with confidence. Lu Xiaoyun and Han Dong wore the same determined expressions. Why aren't you guys taking the exam? Lin Jin asked. The trio exchanged glances and explained, it's disrespectful to take an exam with our teacher. Also, we're aware of how deep and profound the study of beast appraisals is, so we want to improve ourselves even more. If we want to take the exam, we will do it when we are confident. Otherwise, to rely on luck would just be shaming your name. Lin Jin nodded. It's starting soon. Master Lin, please go ahead. We will wait outside for you, said Han Dong. Alright then, I'll go on. Before Lin Jin could finish, Zhang He stormed over with several people in tow. Hold up, Lin Jin. I don't think you can enter because you don't have the right to take exams, Zhang He called out cheekily. Follow beside him was Dong He. Although the 2 men had once beaten each other up, with Wang Ji and Nan Gongxian to mediate and resolve their differences, they were now scheming together to take Lin Jin down. Lin Jin wanted to take the exams and redeem himself. He could dream on. Both men despised Lin Jin to the core. So even if there was a ray of hope for Lin Jin, they wanted it extinguished. Coincidentally, they found an excuse to do so. The messenger Wang Ji had dispatched to Everlasting Town found Wei Changjing. Wei Changyong was the local self-taught beast appraiser of Everlasting Town. He had once attempted to use Lin Jin as a stepping stone to fame, only to end up worse than he started out, even losing Goldie in the process. Yet, Wei Changyong was helpless back then, so he could only blame himself for being unlucky. When Wang Ji's subordinate was sent to Everlasting Town in hopes of getting some leverage over Lin Jin, he found Wei Changyong. After understanding his story, the 2 factions decided to work together. Once Wang Ji confirmed that Lin Jin indeed had a large rooster, he secretly arranged to have Wei Changyong escorted into Maple City, planning to give Lin Jin a decisive blow during the most crucial moment. He wanted to make it so that Lin Jin couldn't even take the exams. At first, Wang Ji didn't plan to go this far. He didn't have that big of a grudge against Lin Jin anyway. But after the capabilities Lin Jin had displayed over the past few days, he became slightly fearful. People began to proactively take Lin Jin's consultation tokens, and the plaque gifted by those shipwrights wasn't without a good reason. It wasn't a show Lin Jin had hired actors to put on. What bothered Wang Ji most was the bunch of evaluation reports Lin Jin had produced for the mutant eggs. The rank 3 beast appraiser, Tan Sun from headquarters, only praised Wang Ji on the night of the City Lord Manor's banquet because of those evaluation reports. No one knew how nervous Wang Ji had felt back then. Because only he knew that his evaluation report was plagiarized from Lin Jin's. He was initially hoping for no demerits rather than receiving credits, but who knew that it would come to this? While he felt delighted, Wang Ji was also paranoid. He wasn't that dumb to not realize that Lin Jin had a unique ability when it came to appraising beasts. Had it been before, Wang Ji couldn't care less. But he had already begun oppressing Lin Jin during that time and intentionally lowered his scores as much as possible for several consecutive assessments. So if Lin Jin suddenly rose from the ashes, how could Wang Ji keep his position as chief? Thus, even if it was for himself, Wang Ji had to completely flatten Lin Jin. This was the only way he could secure his position as a chief and not let the misjudgment of a subordinate affect his future. Zhang He pointed to Wei Changyong and smirked at Lin Jin. Lin Jin, do you recognize him? Wei Changyong took a step forward, wearing a malicious grin. Lin Jin took a glance at him and shook his head. I don't recognize him. It wasn't because Lin Jin had a bad memory. Rather, when he was at Everlasting Town, he only had one look at the guy while most times, his head was kept low as he wrote the reports. He didn't have time to focus on the people around him. Even that look had been a brief glance, so how could he possibly remember that face? Wei Changyong flared up in anger. You don't remember me. Humph. But I sure as hell remember you. It was you who stole my rare pet beast at Everlasting Town. That rooster right beside you. Shifting their gazes to the direction Wei Changyong was pointing to, the crowd found a mighty rooster next to Lin Jin. I knew you wouldn't admit it, but I have witnesses. These people beside me are all folks from Everlasting Town. They can verify the truth for me. Wei Changyong clearly came prepared. The people around him nodded and echoed that Wei Changyong's words were the truth. With this, Lin Jin became the center of attention. Doviko to cheat a person of their rare beast was definitely taboo for a beast appraiser. Not only did it reflect bad character, but it was also against the law. A person like this certainly shouldn't have the right to take the exams. Zhao Ying's expression darkened at this. She was there when it happened, and the rooster beside Lin Jin indeed belonged to Wei Changyong. However, Lin Jin hadn't cheated the rooster off him. Instead, the creature followed Lin Jin home on its own accord. She was about to speak up when she saw Lin Jin shaking his head at her. Zhao Ying quickly gulped down her words. Lin Jin smiled and started, there were just too many people at Everlasting Town that day, so it's true that I don't remember you. But from what you said just now, I remember now. Back then, there was a person who had me appraise a regular rooster, saying how dangerous that rooster was, and that it was a bloodthirsty and violent beast. Was that person you? That's right. I'm the one. Wei Changyong nodded. So you finally admitted it. Lin Jin shook his head. Admit what? That you conned me of my chicken. Wei Changyong exclaimed. Lin Jin smiled again. I was appraising beasts in public, in front of everyone. Pray tell, how did I con you of your chicken? It's obvious that you tamed it secretly and then took him away when no one was looking. Wei Changyong had his excuse ready, and this was the answer he formulated with Wang Ji. Lin Jin nodded. There are 3 ways for a beast appraiser to tame a pet beast. The methods are using a paper amulet, performing spirit seals, and letting the beast consume a beast-taming pill. All 3 methods will leave traces, and since everyone here is an expert, you can examine it now. In case you're still convinced that I am a liar if I said that I didn't tame your chicken. Having said that, Lin Jin turned to Goldie and said, go and let them take a look. At rank 3, Goldie had high enough intelligence to understand what Lin Jin was saying. Despite showing obvious reluctance, he trotted over. Wei Changyong was traumatized by this chicken, so when Goldie got close, he quickly backed away out of fear. Trash. Zhang He cursed inwardly before hurrying forward to conduct the examination. Lu Xiaoyun suddenly called out as well, I'm joining in the examination in case they have any cards up their sleeves. I'm joining too. Another apprentice stepped forward. That made it impossible to use underhanded methods or make baseless claims. Chapter 72. Wang Ji's mediocre attacks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Beast. Taming skills are so unusually profound that not everyone could master them. On the other hand, it was relatively easy to find auras and traces of a beast being tamed, and this was a basic skill everyone was expected to know. Even Wei Changyong knew a little about it. He was quite confident that the rooster would show signs of being tamed. The other man must have used such methods, otherwise, that ferocious rooster would have never been taken away. Be it by paper amulets, spirit seals, or beast. Taming pills, all these methods leave behind traces. So once they start investigating, they could prove how Lin Jin was a liar. He was positive about it. Only, once the inspection results were out, Zhang He's expression turned pale. He couldn't find any traces of a paper amulet, spirit seal, or even a beast. Taming pill being used. This. Zhang He was instantly flustered. Had he been the only person conducting the inspection, he could have still made false claims. But with so many people doing the same thing, he couldn't spout any nonsense. Were there signs of the bird being tamed? Lin Jin asked. Looking sour, Zhang He could only answer honestly, no, that's impossible. Wei Changyong panicked. It was impossible for his flawlessly formulated plan to fail. Lin Jin couldn't be bothered to argue with these buffoons. How could Wei Changyong and his party possibly be aware that Lin Jin had used the beast deterrence skill instead? This skill wasn't in the same category as the other 3 taming skills, but it was on a much higher level. With this, Wei Changyong's schemes were considered wasted. People who were slightly intelligent wouldn't believe his accusations. After all, there were tons of chickens that looked the same. Just then, one of the villagers Wei Changyong had brought along spoke up, this doesn't look like the same chicken. This one has glossier feathers and it's larger in size. Also, the chicken shouldn't have yellow patterns on his crown like this one. It's only been a few days. There's no way it could possibly be the chicken they were looking for. The person who spoke up seemed like a steadfast man. In fact, most villagers had the same sort of personality. Wei Changyong had brought them along as witnesses, not accomplices, because he was sure that the rooster in Lin Jin's care belonged to him. He ended up being stabbed in the back by his own people at such a crucial time. Wei Changyong almost fainted from anger as his seemingly flawless plan went down the drain. The situation needed no more explanations. Everyone could tell what was going on. This person just goes around accusing people before clarifying the situation. What a clown. Yeah. No matter how unskilled Lin Jin is, he wouldn't possibly cheat someone of their pet beast. Also, it'd be impossible to get away with it. With a fling of his sleeve, Lin Jin said, the exams are starting, so I have to stop fooling around with you people now. I think you're the one who's fooling around, a voice suddenly called out. Turning their heads, the crowd saw Wang Ji. And not just him, there were a few other people standing beside him as well. The group started approaching them in a domineering manner. It's Chief Wang Ji. And Elder Nan. They're both prominent figures of the association. To think they would show up here together. That woman beside Chief Wang is really pretty. Who is she? As voices of discussion surfaced, the crowd parted to make way for the newly arrived group. Wang Ji simply walked up to Lin Jin. He had seen what happened here just now. After realizing Wei Changyong's plot had backfired, he decided to come over personally. Anyhow, he didn't plan on letting Lin Jin take the exams today. Even if he had to use underhanded tricks, he would make sure to see it through. After all, the man had no one backing him up. Meanwhile, on his side, he had several associates who could trample the man flat if they wanted to. Lin Jin immediately frowned upon seeing Wang Ji as well. There was also Nan Gongxian in the group and an awfully familiar woman. "It's you," Lin Jin remembered. This was the woman he had met at the emergency hall several days ago. Back then, he assumed that she was Zhao Ying's friend, so he simply treated her without second guesses. The entire thing turned out to be a massive misunderstanding. But even if it was a mistake, that woman had reacted too arrogantly. Now that he looked at her again, this woman must have been some really important figurehead. Otherwise, she wouldn't be escorted here so respectfully by prominent figures like Wang Ji and Nan Gongxian. Could she be the inspector sent here by headquarters? Only an inspector from headquarters had the authority to revoke his qualifications. "Lin Jin, this is the inspector sent here by headquarters, Appraiser Tan Lin. She has verified the mishap you've caused and decided that you, the official beast appraiser at the time, will take full responsibility. After a discussion between Elder Nan, Appraiser Tan, and I, we feel that a person like you is no longer suited to become a beast appraiser. Hence, we've decided to nullify your rights to take the beast appraiser exam for life." Wang Ji had made the declaration with a straight face. While clarifying Tan Lin's identity, he also made a mind-blowing announcement. In simpler terms, Lin Jin was blacklisted and revoked of the right to retake the exams. This is just cruel. Lin Jin's career is truly over now. Chief Wang and the others must have just come to this conclusion. Look, the victim of that appraisal accident is here too. Sure enough, there was a young man glaring furiously at Lin Jin among the crowd. Behind this young man was a wolf beast with its ears pulled back, dispirited, and its scrawny body covered in injuries. This is the wolf beast that Lin Jin had claimed to be an above-average creature. It really doesn't look much like one. To appraise a pet beast inaccurately and have the owner form a blood pact on the spot is considered a mishap. But this punishment is a little too much. They're banning him completely. That's destroying his life. As the crowd entered another discussion, Wang Ji had that young man step forward and said, "Lin Jin, don't say that we're bullying you. This young man here initially had a bright future, but you had him form a blood pact with a flawed pet beast. Even if you were to cancel the bond, it would take him quite some time before he could form a pact with another pet beast again. He was supposed to take the Friar Association's entrance exam this year. Without a pet beast, how could he take the exam? Once he misses this year, he'd have to wait another year. Based solely on this reason, would you be convinced of our decision to ban you?" Lin Jin took a glance at the young man, then at his pet beast. After that, ignoring the young man, he walked over and touched the wolf's head. As the wolf was deemed a flawed pet beast, it wasn't well cared for by its owner. It probably wasn't given anything decent to eat, which explains its famished appearance. As for the injuries on its body, it was probably from physical abuse by its owner. Upon contact, a record instantly came up in the Museum of Deadly Beasts. The specimen and stone tablet appeared as well. Lin Jin skimmed through the tablet's description and his eyes lit up. Truth be told, there was nothing Lin Jin could comment on the mishap caused by his predecessor. After all, a mistake was a mistake, there was no use in trying to explain himself. But with the Museum of Deadly Beasts, there might just be a way to patch up this creature's shortcomings. After reading through, not only were there such methods, but this wolf beast also wasn't as worthless as they made it out to be. Rank 1 Wolf Beast. Bound by a blood contract. Shadow Wolf. Of both wind and wood attributes. A hidden bloodline from the netherworld. Contains flaws in bones and veins. The 11 restoration methods are. The 7 evolution methods are. The 3 methods to activate the hidden bloodline are. As he continued reading, Lin Jin had to admit the wolf was indeed a very unique creature. Out of the rare breeds he had come across the past few days, this wolf was among the highly ranked few. At that instant, Lin Jin knew what to do. Chapter 73 says who it was a mishap. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Just then, the young man burst out in fury, "Appraiser Lin, you've caused me a lot of grief. Back then, I took your consultation token and sought your advice only because I felt you were trustworthy. I thought you were a certified beast appraiser. But who knew?" After a deep breath, he continued, "At that time, I was hesitant when it came to buying this pet beast because the seller was asking for such a high price. I come from a poor family. My parents even had to sell off our old house to raise enough money to purchase this pet beast. If you had told me this pet beast wasn't worth forming a blood pact with, I wouldn't have staked what's left of my family's fortune. Now, even with their life's worth of savings gone, my parents are comforting me, saying I could still take the exams next year. But they're penniless now. How can I still take the exams? You've ruined my family and destroyed my life." Upon hearing this, the crowd cast sympathetic looks at the young man. It was true. For someone born into a poor family, it was indeed difficult to venture into the path of a friar. The man had invested his entire family's fortune and put his hopes on Lin Jin's statement because he believed in him. However, Lin Jin ended up introducing a worthless pet beast to him. What Lin Jin did, really did appear to have destroyed this poor boy's family in future. Even if the young man wanted to form a blood pact with a new pet beast, where would he get the money to do so? With a pained expression, Wang Ji said, "Everyone, now you understand why Elder Nan, Appraiser Tan, and I made this decision. Lin Jin has gone too far. Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association admits responsibility for this mishap by banning such an incompetent beast appraiser from our premises. To prevent Lin Jin from committing a similar mistake again as well as to maintain our prestige." At this, the crowd nodded in agreement. Who said it was a mistake? Lin Jin suddenly got up and said to the enraged young man, "You have quite the nerve to return my grace with revenge. I got you this rare pet beast out of goodwill, and not only did you not thank me, but you're attacking me instead. What nonsense are you spouting?" The young man immediately flared up in anger. Wang Ji looked just as grim. "Lin Jin, you're still trying to make excuses and spout nonsense at a time like this." Refusing to back down, Lin Jin turned to Wang Ji and said, "Whether or not it was an excuse, we'll find out soon." Having said that, he turned back to the young man. "Do you remember what I've said to you back then? Even if you forgot, it was clearly written in the evaluation report I gave you with great detail. I said, this wolf beast is an above-average pet beast and you should form a blood pact with it at once and take good care of it. I've also advised you that you have to return within 7 days for a follow-up, haven't I?" That young man was stunned and nodded. "That's right. You did say that. But later on, I met Chief Wang Ji and he personally appraised it for me, only for us to find out that this pet beast was flawed." Wang Ji demanded harshly, "Lin Jin, stop trying to confuse us. What do you want to say?" Lin Jin raised his voice and said, "When I appraised the pet beast for this man that day, I've stated clearly that this creature was above average and it was important for him to return within 7 days. I'm asking you, why didn't you return?" The young man responded with anger, "I've been deceived by you once. Why would I let you deceive me again? I deceived you." Lin Jin was enraged as well. Lifting a hand, he summoned a spirit seal and slapped it onto the head of the young man's wolf beast. In an instant, an invisible gust of air surged out, swaying the sleeves of the crowd as they watched on with astonishment. They took another look at the wolf beast that was claimed to be worthless. Although its frame was still scrawny, its aura was now menacing and its gaze sharp. It looked like a completely different wolf compared to before. The most incredulous part was how the wolf's body was constantly disappearing and reappearing. It was an extraordinary sight. A rare beast. Those who were knowledgeable could instantly tell because only rare beasts could have such phenomenal powers. In an instant, the crowd was shocked. That young man was gaping, pointing at the wolf beast, but not a single word could escape his mouth. Wang Ji's heart was thumping madly. His mouth was opened so wide it could fit more than one bun. Nan Gongxian frowned while Tan Lin's pupils dilated. None of them expected such a turnout of events. This time, it was Lin Jin who was furious. I deceived you. This pet beast contains the bloodline of a shadow wolf and is deemed an above-average creature. Am I wrong? Back then, because I knew you came from a poorer family, so I didn't write out the details of this beast's bloodline in case anyone with ill intentions found out and caused you harm. Tell me, was I, Lin Jin, wrong for doing things in your best interest? The young man was pale, staring at his wolf beast that now had a completely different aura. He couldn't speak. Lin Jin spoke even louder. I had you return within 7 days so you could strengthen the bond with your pet beast and gradually nourish it with meat. After that, I would have used a secret method to activate its hidden bloodline. But what about you? Did you come back and see me? Sweat began to form on the young man's head. You didn't. Lin Jin sighed. I, Lin Jin, have a clear conscience, but I didn't realize that I would be schemed against by scoundrels who turned facts upside down and forcefully called it a mishap. Still, I never tried to fight back, only wishing this matter would die down on its own while waiting for you to come to me. Today, you finally showed up. But who knew that what I ended up waiting for was an order of banishment? This shadow wolf is such a rare creature, but it ended up being mistreated by you. You must have barely fed it anything all this while. And not only did you berate it, but you also physically abused him. Pet beasts have spirits as well. Even if you're bonded by a blood pact, if you treat it this way, it might retaliate against you and break free from its blood contract, ultimately leaving you penniless and without a pet beast. Perhaps trying to prove that Lin Jin's words were right, after the bloodline of this shadow wolf was activated, it let out a long howl. In an instant, a bloody mist emitted from its body. Just like something was cracking. This is. It's breaking the contract on its own. This shadow wolf was actually willing to hurt itself for the sake of breaking the blood pact. A pet beast forcibly breaking a contract on its own was a rare occurrence. It would only succeed when the pet beast was powerful enough to overcome the blood pact. In other words, if the owner of the blood pact was too useless or if they abused the pet beast, this rare situation might happen. And who knew that it would happen today before everyone's eyes? The young man stumbled backward out of fear. Seeming to have understood something, he immediately approached the shadow wolf, but the creature let out a low growl instead and took an aggressive stance. The young man didn't dare to get close, so he could only kneel before Lin Jin. Appraiser Lin, I was wrong. I was wrong. Please help me find a way to form a contract with it again. Upon hearing this, the crowd shot disdainful looks at him. Who was the one who ignored his pet beast? Who was the one who abused it and deprived it of food? Now that he realized that not only was the pet beast not flawed but that it was also a rare beast with a unique bloodline, there was a complete U-turn in his attitude. He desperately wanted his pet beast back. Didn't his conscience hurt at all? This is impossible. Wang Ji suddenly came to. He instantly cast a spell and activated his spiritual eye to appraise the shadow wolf. However, the results made him draw a breath of cold air. Lin Jin was right. This wolf was indeed an above-average pet beast. Chances are, the wolf beast's bloodline was so deeply hidden that even he couldn't evaluate it back then. But how did Lin Jin manage to identify it? Also, What was that spirit seal he had cast earlier? He actually couldn't tell. Could the spirit seal have activated the wolf beast's bloodline just like that? Chapter 74. Can I take the exam? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Nan Gongxian kept quiet. He hadn't joined in the evaluation of Lin Jin's mishap but had only heard about it. And now it seemed like there was more than meets the eye. According to the current situation, this couldn't be called a mishap at all. He shot a contemptuous glance at Wang Ji. To think that this man had the audacity to call it a mishap. What on earth was he doing? Tan Lin came over, frowning, evidently wanting to reappraise the shadow wolf herself. The shadow wolf let out a low growl, but Lin Jin patted it on the head, and immediately, it calmed down. Tan Lin was startled by this but she didn't show it on her face. O.org. She used a seal to conduct the appraisal. At first, she had been holding on to a thread of hope that Lin Jin was just fooling the crowd. But after the evaluation, her expression turned sour. She started chewing her bottom lip without saying anything. What else could she say? As an inspector dispatched by headquarters, she had just verified Lin Jin making a mistake and held him responsible. But in just a brief moment, reality had given her a hard slap across the face. Her investigation result was completely untrue. This obviously couldn't be considered an appraisal mishap. However, she couldn't bring herself to announce it. She wanted to just let it be bygones and allow it to slowly disappear into nothingness. Yet, she didn't expect Lin Jin to disallow her this privilege as he asked, "Appraiser Tan Lin, may I ask if this claim of it being a mishap is still valid?" It naturally annoyed her to be questioned so blatantly, but Tan Lin could only answer, "Now that I've seen it, it's invalid." Wang Ji was panicking. It was invalid. If it was invalid, what excuse should they use to ban Lin Jin? He immediately blurted out, "Appraiser Tan, I think we still need further investigation." "I said it's invalid," Tan Lin announced through gritted teeth. Despite her hatred for Lin Jin, her honor wouldn't allow her to make false accusations and spout nonsense. But Wang Ji was still trying to stop this train wreck from happening. "No buts. We've made a mistake and that's that. Why can't we just admit that there was an error?" Since Tan Lin had put it that way, Wang Ji couldn't say anything else. He could only glare at Lin Jin while trying to come up with another ploy. Lin Jin continued to ask, "Since it's invalid, may I ask if I can enter and take the exam?" In fact, the exams had already begun with half the time gone. This time, Tan Lin didn't give him trouble and said, "We have made a mistake in assuming it was an appraisal mishap. You may take the exams." "Great, thanks," Lin Jin exclaimed. Shooting a wink at his three apprentices, with a fling of his sleeve, Lin Jin entered the exam hall. "I knew Master Lin could do it." Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyun were jumping joyously while Han Dong pumped up his fists in the air excitedly. Realization finally set into the onlookers around them. So that so-called appraisal mishap was something like this. As word spread on, soon, everyone present knew what had happened. To think the Beast Appraisal Association could even make such a grave mistake. Isn't that just destroying someone's career? Some of them felt it was unfair for Lin Jin. Tan Lin looked grim. No doubt she had acted too rashly. When Wang Ji brought that young man and his pet beast over for her to examine, she hadn't performed the appraisal thoroughly because she was prejudiced against Lin Jin. Hence, after hearing the young man's story and taking a brief look at his pet beast, she had created her own false conclusion. She never knew this error in judgment would lead to her embarrass herself in public. Wang Ji was good at reading expressions. A quick thought came to his mind and he whispered, "This Lin Jin doesn't know his place." Even if the verification was a mistake, he shouldn't have asked in front of everyone. Couldn't he have asked in private? He's setting such a bad example by causing this ruckus. This man is too selfish. Even if he is a capable appraiser, his character isn't worth mentioning. Tan Lin said nothing. But she agreed with him. She had personally suffered from his sexual harassment that night. Someone like him who was indecent in private can't possibly be a good person at heart. Even if he was extraordinarily skillful, he wouldn't be fit to become a beast appraiser. Also, half the time has passed now. Even if he takes the exam, he might not be able to finish 10 evaluation reports in time. This was Wang Ji mumbling to himself. He knew the exam contents. Every candidate would get a practice beast. These practice beasts were unique tools equipped with a beast simulation amulet. An invigilator would then activate the amulets and the amulet can turn the practice beasts into a preset pet beast. Candidates were required to evaluate all 10 simulated pet beasts and come up with evaluation reports for them. The marking scheme will be based on the number of beasts completed, completion level, and accuracy of the evaluation reports. Needless to say, an average candidate might not be able to finish appraising all 10 pet beasts, what more to say of Lin Jin who only had half of the time left. Hence, the possibility of Lin Jin passing was low. Meanwhile, Dong He was glaring daggers at Han Dong, but the latter seemed unfazed, remaining resolute. Last night, Han Dong had approached Dong He to state that he would stop helping Dong He spy on Lin Jin, nor would he give Dong He any more updates. To Dong He, this was treason. The nerve of this Han Dong. How dare you betray me? Just you wait. When Lin Jin is done for, you'll be the next to get kicked out of the association. Just then, 2 elderly men came out from the Beast Appraisal Association. The man dressed fully in black was Elder Mo of Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association, while the other man wore a 3-ring beast pattern sleeve band, signifying his status as a rank 3 beast appraiser. This rank 3 beast appraiser was one of the most prominent figures of Jade Dragon City's Beast Appraisal headquarters. Father. Upon seeing the old man, Tan Lin's face lit up, and she hurried over to greet him. This man was the rank 3 beast appraiser invited here by the city lord Manor, Tan Sun. He was also Tan Lin's father. Linner, why are you here too? With a hand behind his back, Tan Sun seemed poised and graceful. His presence immediately attracted everyone's attention. Wang Ji hurried over to bow in salutations while Nan Gongxian, who had been aloof earlier, approached the man with a smile. Both of them were merely rank 2 beast appraisers, so before the presence of a higher-ranked figure, they wouldn't dare to be disrespectful. Moreover, Tan Sun held an influential position in headquarters and many certified beast appraisers were his disciples. Elder Tan. Both men competed to greet Tan Sun first. Tan Sun merely nodded. His main purpose here at this branch association was to help them enhance the seal isolating the monster in the earth fire spirit stream. For some reason, several days earlier, the seal had loosened up. Elder Mo had reported the situation, hence, headquarters decided to send them here. Secondly, Tan Sun was coincidentally invited over by the city lord Manor to appraise some mutant eggs, so he decided to come over personally. However, to his surprise, Chief Wang Ji of Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association had completed almost all the appraisals for these mutant eggs. He had read through the evaluation reports. Although it couldn't be considered perfect, for a rank 2 beast appraiser, this was remarkable enough. Hence, Tan Sun had a good impression of Wang Ji. Elder Tan, you must be exhausted. I've prepared a room for you so please get some rest there, said Wang Ji who was skilled at flattery. Tan Sun nodded with a smile. It was indeed tiring after having to enhance the seal for several days. Then, taking a closer look at Tan Lin, his eyes suddenly lit up as if he noticed something. Linner, give me your hand, Tan Sun said out of nowhere. Despite her confusion, Tan Lin extended her hand over. Tan Sun took her pulse, and briefly after, his expression seemed delighted. Linner, has the bestial soul curse in your body been broken? Chapter 75. The Ashamed Tan Lin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tan Sun was genuinely happy while Tan Lin was puzzled. Father, what are you talking about? What bestial soul curse? Tan Lin asked. Tan Sun slapped his forehead before he started explaining while chuckling, I forgot that your mother and I haven't told you about this yet. When you were young, I've once offended a rather powerful enemy. That shameless rascal wasn't able to defeat me, so he directed his malicious intent at you instead. That person knew some black magic, so he put a bestial soul curse on you. Do you remember how you would always break out in cold sweat, have nightmares, or even faint without reason when you were young? Tan Lin remembered them and nodded. Wasn't I just sick? Tan Sun gave a bitter smile. Your mother and I feared that it might scare you, so we lied to you. Back then, I've tried everything but only managed to suppress that curse inside you. After that, the curse was too powerless to recur, but it remained inside you. Truth be told, it was one of my biggest worries. Tan Lin's eyes widened with shock. I didn't know such a thing was happening. Father, why didn't you tell me about it? Tan Sun said, if I told you, that might have burdened you instead. So after discussing it with your mother, we decided to keep you in the dark. All these years, I've read thousands of books, hoping to break that curse completely. I finally tracked down a method, but it still required some preparation. Yet, who knew that the curse has been broken already? Linner, have you realized it yourself and found an expert to break the curse for you? Tan Lin shook her head. How could she have realized? It was her first time hearing of it. Tan Sun continued, that bestial soul curse is no ordinary curse. Although you're a rank 2 beast appraiser, you're only able to appraise beasts, so you couldn't have broken the curse yourself. Tell me, who is it that helped you? I want to thank them in person. I didn't ask anyone to break the curse for me. I didn't even know about this. Tan Lin was being honest. She had been completely oblivious to what was going on. If Tan Sun hadn't told her about this, she would still be clueless right now. This time, Tan Sun was the confused one. You don't know. Then, how was the bestial soul curse broken? Tan Sun knew full well how powerful the curse inside his daughter's body was. Under regular circumstances, the curse would never have resolved itself without the help of someone else. Otherwise, there was no need for him to spend so many years in search of a resolution. The other people around them overheard their conversation. Among those present, Elder Mo's status was only second to Tan Sun, so he spoke up, indeed a bestial soul curse wouldn't break on its own. If it were that easy, it wouldn't be deemed black magic. Since Linner doesn't know, could it have been realized by an expert who resolved it for her in secret? Upon hearing this, Tan Sun realized this possibility as well. That's right. That can be the only explanation. Linner, have you met any experts recently? Baffled, Tan Lin shook her head. I've been too busy with work and have been running around. I haven't met any experts. Then, have you met a doctor or asked for medicine? Tan Sun continued to ask. No, Tan Lin was absolutely sure. This is odd. Tan Sun stroked his beard, evidently bewildered. Elder Mo said, perhaps Linner hasn't realized it herself. However, breaking the curse requires close physical contact. Try thinking in that direction, maybe you can recall something. Tan Sun nodded in agreement. When I sensed it just now, Linner's curse was broken only a couple of days ago. In other words, it must have happened in Maple City. At this, the crowd was startled. Wang Ji and Nan Gongxian looked muddled as they wondered if there was a hidden expert in Maple City that they hadn't heard of. There shouldn't be. Even if there really was such a person, it was impossible that they'd be so clueless. At her father's words, Tan Lin frowned. The curse was broken within these few days. But I've only been waiting here at Maple City for you. No one has touched me except. As if she thought of something, Tan Lin's expression changed at once. As the saying went, a father knows his daughter best. When he saw Tan Lin's expression, Tan Sun knew that she had just recalled a crucial detail. "Linner, have you thought of something? Tell me. Who is this hidden expert that saved you? He is my benefactor and we must repay his grace." Tan Lin's mind was currently a mess because when she recalled carefully, the only person who had touched her in the past few days was that lecher, Lin Jin. She tried to remember what happened that night in detail. She wanted to make an unannounced visit to verify if Lin Jin was as inept as Wang Ji had reported him to be. Thus, she went over to the emergency hall after inquiring about Lin Jin's whereabouts. Upon arrival, the guy inadvertently took her pulse and then suddenly jabbed her in the abdomen with a finger. Tan Lin felt the place she was jabbed in and her heart jolted. The heavenly pivot acupoint. Could it be? Tan Lin thought of one possibility and immediately, her face turned pale. Her hands started trembling subconsciously. The crowd was confused by Tan Lin's reaction, but Tan Sun, who understood his daughter most, knew that she must have figured something out. "Linner, just what on earth is going on?" Tan Sun asked. I. As she recalled the events of that night, one of Lin Jin's disciples seemed to have brought in a young woman who was probably seeking treatment from Lin Jin. Could Lin Jin have mistaken her for that young woman? Which would explain him wanting to take her pulse and then jabbing her heavenly pivot acupoint. That's impossible. I'm over thinking this. This is a bestial soul curse that even father couldn't resolve. How could it be broken with one single jab? Holding on to this ray of hope, Tan Lin glanced at Tan Sun and asked, "Father, could the bestial soul curse in my body be broken by a jab in the heavenly pivot acupoint without me expecting it?" Stunned, Tan Sun pondered the possibility briefly before a look of enlightenment appeared on his face. "That's amazing. Why haven't I thought of this idea?" Yes. That curse is of a dark element and it's extremely cunning. If one could tell that the curse was residing in the heavenly pivot acupoint, by jabbing that point with a fire spirit energy finger without warning, the curse can be broken on the spot. However, this requires profound skill and decisiveness. "Linner, how did you figure it out?" At that instant, as if she was struck by a bolt out of the blue, Tan Lin staggered. Chaotic feelings filled her heart and what's left in the end was only a sense of shame. It was him. It was Lin Jin who broke her curse. That man did not sexually harass her, but he helped cure her instead. But what did she do in response? She had returned his grace with revenge and immediately got headquarters to revoke his beast appraiser qualification. Today, due to her irrationality, she even almost banned Lin Jin. Had he not cleared his name, he might not even be able to take the exams. She understood it all now. It was no wonder he said she was falsely accusing him. "I only helped you out of goodwill and not only did you not thank me, but you're accusing me instead. What gives? Had I known that you would react like this, I wouldn't have helped you." These words came smashing down viciously at Tan Lin's chest like a hammer. The feelings of shame, guilt, and self-blame overwhelmed her. Her face became flushed red and immediately, she coughed up a mouthful of blood. This made the crowd panic. Tan Sun was the first to react, hurrying over to seal off Tan Lin's acupoint, before stuffing a medicinal pill down her throat. Tan Lin was so ashamed that it made her suffocate. It was instead a good thing that she had spat out the blood, otherwise, things might turn out worse had she let it build up inside of her. After taking several deep breaths, Tan Lin said to Tan Sun, "Father, I've committed a grave sin." Chapter 76. Waiting for their benefactor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tan Lin told him the full story of what had happened. As she elaborated, the people around her all wore different expressions. Some of their mouths were gaping from shock, especially Wang Ji, whose eyes looked like they were about to pop out of their sockets. Tan Sun asked, "Who is this Lin Jin?" None of them spoke up, especially Wang Ji. At that instant, he didn't know what he should say. He couldn't possibly tell Tan Sun that the person who rescued his daughter was the man he deemed unworthy of becoming a beast appraiser, could he? "Father, I'll tell you about him." Tan Lin continued to explain Lin Jin's situation. The more Tan Sun listened, the darker his expression and the harder he frowned. Other than the appraisal mishap, Tan Lin told him about the punishments Lin Jin had suffered over the past few days as well without hiding anything. How foolish and capricious. Tan Sun couldn't resist the urge to lash out. Tan Lin kept her head down. "Linner, it's no wonder you coughed up blood out of shame just now. If it were me, I'd have done the same. You must feel really guilty, don't you? At least you know that you're in the wrong here." Having said that, Tan Sun walked over to the Shadow Wolf. Even since Lin Jin entered the exam hall, the Shadow Wolf remained rooted to the spot. It would let out a dangerous growl at whoever approached it. But when Tan Sun went over, it didn't resist and lowered its head obediently instead. As a rank 3 beast appraiser, it was evidently easy for Tan Sun to tame the Shadow Wolf. One glance was more than enough for him to figure out what had happened. Indeed, it wasn't an appraisal mishap. This Shadow Wolf's hidden bloodline was concealed too deeply, and only those who are skilled enough in beast appraisals can realize it. Also, if I'm not mistaken, what triggered this wolf's bloodline activation was a blood seal. It's a very profound seal technique that only a scarce few beast appraisers in headquarters had mastery over. He was indirectly praising Lin Jin's skill. Wang Ji had heard of the blood seal as well. However, he was subpar in it and couldn't successfully activate a pet beast's bloodline in just one go. "Linner, you're the inspector dispatched by headquarters, so the decision is yours whether this Lin Jin is suited to continue being a beast appraiser or not." "I won't get involved in this matter," Tan Sun said. Although he said he wouldn't get involved, his facial expression clearly showed that he thought otherwise. Tan Lin took a deep breath and wore a grave expression. "Chief Wang, please hand me all of Lin Jin's past assessment records. I want to investigate them. Also, bring me a few of his evaluation reports." After regaining her composure, Tan Lin displayed her competent side. Reluctant to accept this outcome, Wang Ji said, "I don't think it was Lin Jin who broke appraiser Tan Lin's curse. From what I know, he's incapable of such a feat also. If it was really him, why didn't he speak up? I think this matter needs further investigation." Tan Lin frowned. While she was previously prejudiced against Lin Jin, now that she realized he was instead a benefactor who saved her life, Tan Lin's attitude undergone a major makeover. Before all this, she hadn't noticed Wang Ji's suspicious behavior. But now, in retrospect, this Wang Ji was clearly biased against Lin Jin and was constantly searching for ways to sabotage him. "Chief Wang, I'll be the one to judge." "You do as I say," Tan Lin replied coldly. Without any excuses left, Wang Ji could only send someone to retrieve Lin Jin's assessment scores. As for the evaluation reports, he didn't keep any of them. However, as Zhao Ying was present as well, she had Han Dong retrieve their copies at once. Soon, the required documents were retrieved and Tan Lin inspected them on the spot. Now that she had regained her sense of justice, it only took a few glances to see where the problem was. First, it was Lin Jin's evaluation. The contents were too subjective and were mostly filled with things that couldn't be detected. Also, many of the minor flaws that were passed off in other people's evaluations were instead magnified in Lin Jin's case, turning them into intolerable and grave mistakes. It's no wonder Lin Jin's assessment scores were so low. Tan Lin shot a vicious glare at Wang Ji. If she had yet to figure out what was going on, that would truly be foolish of her. It was clear that Wang Ji had been working against Lin Jin. And he had done it brazenly. Then, she looked at the evaluation reports from Zhao Ying. Tan Lin felt that she had been too reckless for not examining Lin Jin's evaluation reports when she first came for the inspection. She had neglected her duty as a proper inspector. Now that she studied them, she was instantly convinced by the contents. These evaluation reports could even serve as reference materials in headquarters. This was a world's difference compared to what Wang Ji had commented about Lin Jin. At that moment, Wang Ji's expression became solemn as he kept quiet. He couldn't say anything. However, he wasn't afraid. It was only normal to have elements of subjectivity in a subordinate's evaluation. Since it was all determined by himself, even if there was any prejudice, Wang Ji could call it an oversight. He could even get a random scapegoat to take the blame, and this will all be resolved easily. At that instant, Wang Ji spoke up, "I rarely interact with Lin Jin on a daily basis. After all, it's quite hard for me to pay attention to everything in such a huge association." "Zhang He, you were in charge of recording Lin Jin's daily matters. Tell me, why was his evaluation so low? In the reports that you submitted every day, how much of them had your biased views mixed into it?" Wang Ji had obviously found a scapegoat. Zhang He shuddered in fear. But he was no idiot. He knew that he was going to have to take the fall, so he quickly said, "Chief, Appraiser Tan, it was my fault. I haven't been diligent enough in my investigation and only listened to hearsay, so some of the parts might sound a little heavy-handed. But most of the contents are true." Just then, Nan Gongxian spoke up as well. "This isn't anything major. The main issue concerning Lin Jin was the previous mishap. But since it was proven to be invalid, we can just undo the previous punishments. At worst, we can restore Lin Jin's qualifications as a certified beast appraiser. As expected of an elder." His first words were to reduce the magnitude of the problem, and after that, he would turn them into nothingness. Clearly, he didn't want to let some people take responsibility. Also, he made sure to point out that Tan Lin was also involved in evaluating that appraisal mishap. If they were to take responsibility, she wouldn't be let off the hook that easily as well. This was indeed a smart move. Wang Ji and Zhang He were thrilled on the inside as they mused, a man was indeed wiser as he aged. With Elder Nan on their side, speaking up for them, they could probably let today's matter slide. But to their surprise, Tan Lin didn't share the same sentiment. Or rather, her pride wouldn't let her do it. "I will take responsibility for this mistake of mine. After today, I will resign from my post as an inspector, and Maple City's branch association must face the consequences and measures must be taken to prevent something like this from happening again." She was clearly adamant about seeing this matter through justly. Nan Gongxian frowned without saying anything. Since Tan Lin wouldn't show him the respect he expected from her, he was out of ideas. He shot Wang Ji a glance to signify that he couldn't help this time. Knowing that he should show determination at this moment, Wang Ji took a deep breath and said, "Appraiser Tan is right. I'm also responsible, so I will punish myself by foregoing 3 months of my salary. I'll also revoke Zhang He's rights to run a consultation hall and demote him to a regular apprentice. He will remain at the association for monitoring purposes. If he still doesn't mend his ways, he will be severely punished." It required many grueling years before an apprentice could have his own consultation hall. Now that his right to be a listed consultant was revoked, it was equivalent to shutting down his hall, turning years of continuous effort into nothing. Zhang He's expression instantly turned sour, but he could only accept it. Having his consultation hall shut down was better than being kicked out of the association. Nan Gongxian wanted things to end here, so he extended an invitation to the rank 3 beast appraiser, Tan Sun, to the banquet they had prepared in advance. Wang Ji remembered this as well and said, "Oh, excuse my poor memory. How could we not do our part as local hosts since Elder Tan has come all the way to our Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association? Symphony Restaurant makes the best dishes and we've made reservations for a banquet there. We hope Elder Tan can join us so we can also receive your guidance in the study of beast appraisals." However, Tan Sun shook his head instead. "It's inconvenient for me to get involved in Maple City branch's internal affairs. I refuse to get involved as well. But I, Tan Sun, must wait for my daughter's benefactor to come out so I may thank him in person. Chapter 77. They're all here. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Since Tan Sun said he wanted to wait for his benefactor, Wang Ji and Nan Gongxian couldn't say otherwise. Also, it didn't seem appropriate for them to leave, so they stayed and waited for Lin Jin together. Wang Ji was utterly exasperated on the inside. This should have been the end for Lin Jin, but in just a few moments, the man actually made a complete recovery. Still, what's done was done. He would let Zhang He take the blame for the assessment scores and then personally write an explanation to headquarters. This should be able to resolve his problems. As for Lin Jin, Wang Ji decided not to make a move against him for the time being. He would wait a little longer. While Wang Ji schemed, he suddenly heard noises behind him. Turning around, he saw a huge sapphire turtle. Wang Ji recognized this large turtle as the Zhu family's young master, Zhu Can's pet beast. He had tried treating the turtle before, but it seemed like the creature was incurable, so he thought that it was dead by now. However, this sapphire turtle didn't look like it was dying at all. It wouldn't even be an exaggeration to describe it as energetic. Wang Ji had been rather busy lately, so he hadn't heard about Lin Jin curing this sapphire turtle. Walking behind the sapphire turtle was Zhu Can and Zhu Can's father, the lord of the Zhu family household, Zhu Tianhong. This man held quite a prominent status within Maple City, so why was he suddenly here? The Zhu family's servants were carrying a plaque that read, "Brilliant Doctor." A plaque. Presenting plaques as gifts was a regular sight in the Beast Appraisal Association. Wang Ji himself had more than 10 of these plaques hanging on the wall of his consultation hall. Zhu Tianhong was a dignitary, so Wang Ji had to go over and greet him. Yet, the first sentence he heard from this newcomer made Wang Ji choke up with unpleasantness as if he had swallowed a fly. Zhu Tianhong could be heard saying, "Chief Wang, may I know where Appraiser Lin is? We've come to present him with a plaque to thank him for curing my son's pet beast's disease." It was for Lin Jin. Wang Ji mused, if I'd known what they were here for, I never would have come over. But since he was here, Wang Ji could only smile sheepishly and say, Lin Jin is still taking the exam. Once he comes out, you may hand it to him personally, Lord Zhu. Zhu Tianhong nodded. Zhu Ken, who was following behind him, looked around. Upon spotting Zhao Ying's group, he went over. What do you guys think? I had my father order a plaque and deliver it personally. Let's see who dares to say Appraiser Lin isn't worthy of his reputation. Zhu Ken actually came up with this idea since a long ago. Since he owed Lin Jin a favor, Zhu Ken decided to use this plaque to cheer Lin Jin on, knowing that Lin Jin's qualifications as a certified beast appraiser had just been revoked. Needless to say, Zhu Can's plan was effective. On their way here, the plaque had drawn a lot of attention from passers-by. It would be odd not to notice that the Zhu family's patriarch was personally delivering a plaque. Now, who else would dare to say that Lin Jin didn't deserve his position? There was so much evidence to prove Lin Jin's capability, and with this Zhu family's plaque, it was basically affirming Lin Jin's skills. Is today a special day? Why is it so lively here? Two men commented as they squeezed through the crowd. When Wang Ji saw one of them, he instantly strode over. Wang Ji didn't even react this way with the Zhu family's lord, Zhu Tianhong. So one could imagine just how prominent a figure this newcomer was. Master Gu, why are you here? Wang Ji was quite shocked. This impressive newcomer was none other than the calligraphy master, Gu Mengzhong. The other older man following beside Gu Mengzhong was dressed casually, but quite a few people recognized him as well. It's Liao Gu. Master Chef Liao. I heard that following the scandal at Symphony Restaurant, Master Chef Liao stormed off in anger. Since then, their business has only gone downhill. I know. I heard that it had something to do with appraiser Lin too. Wang Ji didn't care about Liao Gu, but he wouldn't dare to mistreat Gu Mengzhong. This calligraphy master knew quite a lot of influential figures, and a casual comment from him could influence Wang Ji's career. Upon seeing Wang Ji, Gu Mengzhong scoffed. I'm here to cheer for my friend. I heard that he had suffered injustice, so I'm here to reclaim it for him. At this, Wang Ji panicked even more. Musing to himself, he asked, there's no way Master Gu is here for Lin Jin too, could he? It was possible. Having heard of Symphony Restaurant scandal as well, Wang Ji's expression turned darker. Master Gu, what a coincidence, Tan Sun greeted with a smile as he too made his way over. Seeing that it was Tan Sun, Gu Mengzhong held his hands up to salute the man and grinned. Ah, appraiser Tan, I heard that you've come to Maple City. I wanted to pay you a visit but didn't get the chance to do so. You're too kind, Master Gu. I should be the one paying you a visit. I could barely meet you in Jade Dragon City, and all you do is put me off whenever I request a painting from you. Alas, I had to resort to other channels to obtain one of your works. It was really a pain in the neck. Tan Sun was obviously irritated. Still, as a rank 3 beast appraiser, he should be keeping up appearances, so he tried to be subtle as possible. But before Gu Mengzhong, he paled in comparison because the calligraphist was the real expert in maintaining appearances. Both men were old acquaintances who were very good friends, so it was natural to take jabs at each other when bumping into each other after such a long time. Sure enough, Gu Mengzhong didn't speak ambiguously. Appraiser Tan, you can't blame me for that. We've agreed that once you come up with a way to help me form a blood contract with the ink monster, forget one painting, I can even give you 10. You said it would only take 10 days, but what happened after that? 10 days later, you said a month. Then after a month, you said you need another 3 months. I can't wait that long. Tan Sun blushed. This was my mistake. Sigh, since ancient times, it is known that forming a blood pact with an ink monster is a challenging task. But it's not like I didn't come up with a method. An impossible method is called a pie in the sky. Do you remember what you had me collect? They were things like starling grass and sacred ink wood that even you haven't seen before. Where should I find them? Isn't it just a ploy? But appraiser Tan, it's true that you've tried your best, so to return this favor, when I return to Jade Dragon City, I'll draw you a painting when I have time to spare. At the mention of the ink monster, Gu Mengzhong got excited. Having spent the last several days practicing his sword skills with the ink monster, he could now show them some tricks he had learned. Wherever he went, he would carry a sword, which only served to draw more attention to himself. He had it all figured out. Once he familiarized himself with wielding the ink monster blade, he would take down each enemy with just one slash as he wandered the world. After that, he would become a legend just like the immortal swordsman in ancient times. The mere thought of this made him thrilled. Perhaps he was trying to show off. Gu Mengzhong shook his sleeve slightly and a blob of ink surfaced, wafting over into his palm. It was an extraordinary sight. Tan Sun was stunned at this. This is the ink monster. Master Gu, you. When did you successfully form a blood contract with it? Tan Sun exclaimed out of shock. Because when Gu Mengzhong first got the ink monster, the calligraphist had sought out Tan Sun immediately, requesting a way to form a blood pact with the creature. However, forming blood pacts with ink monsters had always been a challenging task since ancient times. Even as a rank 3 beast appraiser, the method he came up with couldn't be realized at present times. For example, he required the starling grass and sacred ink wood for pelletization, but both medicinal ingredients have been extinct for many years. Even if they existed, obtaining them wouldn't be so easy. He had tried thinking of other methods but none of them were suitable. Hence, he wasn't able to complete Gu Mengzhong's request. For this reason, Tan Sun had once tried to avoid Gu Mengzhong as he couldn't find a better solution. But who knew that after not meeting for several months, Gu Mengzhong had successfully formed a blood pact with it. Tan Sun knew it was impossible for Gu Mengzhong to figure out a resolution on his own. The man must have received guidance from an expert. Now, he was extremely curious about the method used to help the calligraphist form his blood pact with this rank 3 ink monster. It was just done recently. Gu Mengzhong was very satisfied with this newfound ability of looking awesome without doing anything. After all, every beast appraiser present was staring at him, awestruck by the sight of his ink monster. Which master beast appraiser has provided you with his guidance? Tan Sun prodded. Master beast appraiser. You got it all wrong. He is merely an average rank 1 beast appraiser in Maple City. When Gu Mengzhong finished answering, the crowd was dumbfounded. A rank 1 beast appraiser. There seemed to be only 2 rank 1 beast appraisers in Maple City. One was Gao Jiang, the other was Lin Jin. And speaking of the devil, Gao Jiang just happened to show up. He had registered for the advancement exam, but when he saw such a huge crowd standing around here, Gao Jiang hurried over to greet Tan Sun and the others. Master Gu didn't even spare Gao Jiang a glance. With this, it didn't take a genius to piece together the puzzle. Could it be Appraiser Lin again? Chapter 78. Dogfight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tan Lin suddenly stepped forward and greeted Gu Mengzhong. Master Gu, about the rank 1 beast appraiser you've mentioned. Were you perhaps referring to Lin Jin? She had asked the question everyone was dying to know the answer to. Tan Sun's eyes sparkled as well as he looked at Gu Mengzhong. Gu Mengzhong didn't try to hide it either. He was specifically here to support Lin Jin anyway. He was furious when he heard from Liao Gu how Lin Jin's consultation hall was shut down, which was mainly the reason why he had come here today. That's right. I was talking about Lin Jin. When I got acquainted with him a few days ago, I was surprised to find out that Maple City has such a remarkable young man. Despite his young age, his mastery over beast appraisals is truly awe-inspiring. Upon hearing this, the crowd's suspicions were confirmed. It really is Appraiser Lin. That's amazing. Even Appraiser Tan couldn't figure out a way to form a blood pact with that ink monster, but Lin Jin could. Is he really just a rank 1 beast appraiser? We're in for a good show now. This Beast Appraisal Association kept calling Appraiser Lin worthless. Now let's see how they'll deal with this. The most frightened person among the group was Zhang He. Because he had spoken poorly of Lin Jin the most all this while. Now that Lin Jin's reputation was increasingly positive, he was scared. As if he had swallowed a fly, Wang Ji was just as uncomfortable. He was the mastermind behind defaming and oppressing Lin Jin, but the man's shamelessness knew no bounds. Who knew that our association's Lin Jin is such a prodigy? As chief, I really don't pay enough attention to him. From now on, I should set aside more time for focusing on him. As for the people in our association who are unskilled, have dreadful character, and envious of other people's achievements to the point of spreading false rumors, Wang Ji, solemnly swear to investigate it thoroughly and teach these malicious individuals a lesson, he declared. Having said that, he shot a sideward glance at Zhang He. F***ck, what are you looking at me for? In his heart, Zhang He cursed Wang Ji's ancestors out of anger and frustration. Needless to say, Wang Ji was planning to put all the blame on him. He could only imagine how tragic it would be for him. Wang Ji might even kick him out of the association just to cover up his own tracks. More than this, Zhang He was confused. When he was affiliated with Lin Jin back then, the latter was just an average beast appraiser. Could Lin Jin have intentionally hidden his prowess? That was possible. Zhang He regretted it. Had he known how incredible Lin Jin was, he would have never switched to another mentor. It really is time we took care of the wicked individuals within the association. Also, I heard that these rumors had something to do with Zhang He. Since this matter hurts our reputation pretty badly, I suggest that we punish him severely, Nan Gongxian suddenly added. He could read the atmosphere well. With Master Gu around, if the association didn't take any action, Tan Sun and Tan Lin wouldn't just leave them be. Since that was the case, they had to put up a show to demonstrate their determination. Reading between the lines, Wang Ji knew the stakes, so he immediately wore a solemn look and said, Elder Nan is right. Zhang He, you tried to sow discord and harmed others deliberately. As chief of the association, I hereby revoke your qualification as an apprentice. From today onward, you're no longer a member of our association. Zhang He briefly lost his balance and almost fainted. It took God knows how many years for him to become a beast appraiser, and just when he was finally producing results, he was mercilessly expelled by Wang Ji. This was equivalent to destroying his career as a beast appraiser. A surge of hatred immediately surfaced in his heart. This man wasn't a merciful guy. Had he been an honest person, Zhang He wouldn't have betrayed Lin Jin in the first place and made false accusations about him after that. Since he could betray Lin Jin back then, today, he could betray Wang Ji as well. Seeing that all the blame was being shifted to him and his identity as a beast appraiser was being taken away, Zhang He had nothing else to lose. Wang Ji, you're just trying to get rid of me now that I'm no longer useful to you. I, Zhang He, have been serving you like a dog and helped you with so many of your heinous deeds. Yet, you wouldn't even show me an ounce of compassion at such a moment. Fine. If you want to chase me out and destroy my future, I won't let you be any better off. On the topic of oppressing Lin Jin, you're the real mastermind. For the sake of that woman, Jia Qian, you wanted to chase Lin Jin out so you could recommend her instead. Then, you conspired together with Nan Gongxian. Before he could finish, Zhang He was knocked over by a violent beast and fainted. It was obviously Wang Ji's pet beast. The claims Zhang He had blurted out in public was akin to burning Wang Ji with fire. How could Wang Ji endure it? This Zhang He is truly vicious and immoral. Not only has he defamed appraiser Lin, but he's also trying to do the same unto Elder Nan and me. But he is also trying to slander Elder Nan and me. As chief of Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association, I am truly ashamed for not being able to educate my subordinates properly. Wang Ji spoke words of self-reflection while looking sorrowful and furious. Despite his attempt to subvert public opinion about himself, the crowd reserved their opinions. This Wang Ji might not be any more innocent than Zhang He. However, since he held the status and identity as chief of the association, damage done to the association's reputation due to insubordination was not enough to endanger Wang Ji's position. Tan Sun knew this, and so did his daughter. Tan Sun in particular was still impressed by Wang Ji. At least the latter had made some achievements in his beast appraising career. A case example would be the evaluation reports he produced for the City Lord Manor's batch of mutant eggs. Hence, Tan Sun didn't want to pursue the matter anymore. He didn't want to see such a ruckus during his time here, so it was best to end this incident as soon as possible. Chief Wang, as chief of an association, it is a fact that you've been careless. You have to pay more attention to your subordinates in the future and not just focus on honing your skills. Also, you must remain impartial no matter what, Tan Sun said. While this sounded like a lecture, it was in fact a declaration to everyone that things should end here. Wang Ji naturally understood the implications. Since appraiser Tan was offering him a way out, he immediately accepted it by saying, I understand your teachings, Elder Tan. I will definitely reflect on this and ensure that incidents like this don't happen again. On the inside, he let out a long sigh in relief, musing at how he finally made it through this ordeal. What a close shave. Tan Lin frowned. However, since her father had spoken, she shouldn't say otherwise. Wang Ji snapped, quick, inform appraiser Lin that the misunderstanding from before has been cleared up. Appraiser Tan Lin has restored his qualification as a certified beast appraiser, so there's no need for him to take the exam. Right, appraiser Lin's consultation hall also needs to be reopened. Get the logistic department's manager to choose a bigger hall for appraiser Lin. Admittedly, Wang Ji was quick to patch things up. At least, after Tan Sun heard his arrangements, he nodded in acknowledgement and Tan Lin sighed without pressing the matter. Tan Sun then approached Gu Mengzhong and said with a smile, "Master Gu, it's been so long since we've met. When Lin Jin comes out later, let's have a drink together." Gu Mengzhong nodded. He had planned to introduce Lin Jin to Tan Sun too in hopes of broadening Lin Jin's network. "Right, Master Gu, you probably don't know this, but I got one of your genuine paintings here at Maple City." Chapter 79. Master Gu's painting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This piqued Gu Mengzhong's curiosity, so he asked, "I've rarely painted any works in the past few years, so there shouldn't be many circulating in the market. Appraiser Tan, where did you buy it from? Let me have a look at it in case it's a counterfeit." Tan Sun chuckled and explained, "I got it as a gift. Also, I've personally examined it, so it's definitely not a counterfeit. Come, bring me the painting so Master Gu can take a look at it." This painting Tan Sun mentioned was one of Gu Mengzhong's creations that he had received from the City Lord Manor. Back then, when he first laid eyes on it, Tan Sun knew that it was genuine. However, he was afraid he might be mistaken, so since Gu Mengzhong himself was here, it was only natural to let him take a look to confirm its authenticity. Because he adored this painting so much, Tan Sun had his attendant carry it wherever they went. That attendant instantly came up and handed Tan Sun the painting. Wang Ji was dumbfounded the moment he laid his eyes on the painting. He remembered how Steward Zhuo of the City Lord Manor had mentioned that among Wang Ji's gifts, there was a genuine painting by Master Gu. Back then, Wang Ji hadn't thought about it too deeply, assuming that Steward Zhuo must have made a mistake. This can't be that same painting, could it? Wang Ji shook his head on the inside. If it was a painting purchased by his subordinate, it must be a fake. How could it possibly be genuine? Thus, Wang Ji mused how even appraiser Tan would make such a mistake at times. Meanwhile, Tan Sun was carefully unrolling the painting. The people around immediately edged closer, trying to see if the painting was a genuine piece. Once the painting was revealed, Gu Mengzhong was stunned before his expression darkened. Standing beside him, Master Chef Liao Gu saw the painting as well and exclaimed, "Isn't this?" He didn't finish his sentence. Liao Gu wasn't an idiot. He knew there was something fishy going on. Tan Sun said, "How is it? Is this one of your genuine creations?" There wasn't a trace of pleasantness on his face as Gu Mengzhong nodded. "You're right. It is one of my genuine works." "Ha, I knew it. How could I ever mistaken a painting created by Master Gu?" Tan Sun was glad as he praised the City Lord Manor silently. As expected of the City Lord Manor. They're really generous with their gifts. Tan Sun was about to put it away at once. Yet, Gu Mengzhong reached out his hand, stopping him in his tracks. "Master Gu, what is it?" Tan Sun was stunned. He finally noticed Gu Mengzhong's extremely solemn expression, and this confused Tan Sun. "Appraiser Tan, let me ask you, where did you get this painting?" Gu Mengzhong asked. Although Tan Sun was puzzled, he answered honestly, "A few days ago, when I was a guest at the City Lord Manor, Lord Bai gave it to me as a gift." "Humph," Gu Mengzhong scoffed. Tan Sun knew something must be up. Otherwise, Gu Mengzhong wouldn't be upset so suddenly. "Just what is going on?" Tan Sun asked. At that moment, Master Chef Liao explained, "This was a painting Mengzhong gave to Lin Jin several days ago. How could it end up at the City Lord Manor, and how did it, in turn, end up in your hands, Appraiser Tan?" "Ah!" Tan Sun let out a voiceless cry. This was a huge issue and Liao Gu's tone was clearly laced with suspicion. Wang Ji's heart began to thump wildly as an unpleasant feeling surfaced in his heart. He had a feeling there would be another disaster. Could there be a mistake? This painting was indeed presented by Lord Bai, Tan Sun's attendant explained. Tan Sun turned to stare at Gu Mengzhong, hoping that the latter was indeed mistaken. Gu Mengzhong pointed to a corner of the painting and said, "This painting can be viewed from different perspectives. The big picture is indeed the painting of scenery, but inside this painting, there is a tiny courtyard where three people are having a delightful conversation. This is the scene of me, brother Liao, and Lin Jin having a pleasant exchange on that day. So tell me, how could I be mistaken?" Tan Sun immediately turned pale. Someone said, "Could appraiser Lin had given this to the city lord manor?" Gu Mengzhong shook his head at once. "When I went to see Lin Jin to have him help me for a blood pact with my ink monster, he told me the painting that I've given him was missing. And it went missing within the Beast Appraisal Association. Back then, I could only draw him another one, but now that I think of it, things don't sound as simple as it is. Since this has something to do with the city lord manor, have them send their people here. We'll know once we ask." Someone went to inform the city lord manor at once. No one noticed how Wang Ji's face had now turned maroon. Soon, Steward Zhua of the city lord manor arrived. Both Tan Sun and Master Gu were incredibly important figures, so Zhua went on wouldn't dream of making them wait. "Steward Zhua, where did this painting come from?" Tan Sun proceeded to explain what happened. When Zhua went on saw the painting, he seemed to have recalled its origins. "This is a painting given by Chief Wang Ji. Wasn't there a batch of mutant eggs that required evaluating? The eggs came back together with Chief Wang's gifts, and this painting was among the presents." When Zhou Wentong was done explaining, everyone shifted their gaze to Wang Ji. Now, Wang Ji finally knew what happened. No matter how shameless he was, or strong he was mentally, he couldn't stop himself from breaking out in cold sweat. It wasn't just about the painting. The batch of mutant eggs was getting dragged into the matter. Only he knew that it was Lin Jin who evaluated the mutant eggs that night, not Wang Ji himself. He had no way to get out of this. He knew that after Lin Jin appraised the eggs, the latter must have left the painting behind in the appraisal hall, so it ended up being assumed a gift and was delivered to the city lord manor. But how could Wang Ji explain this? If he did, he would be exposed. But if he didn't, that wouldn't end well too, because someone would assume he had stolen the painting. The people around him weren't fools. Seeing how Wang Ji was stammering without being able to offer an explanation, they knew something dodgy was going on. Even Nan Gongxian was getting flustered. He quietly shifted 2 steps away from Wang Ji. He had a feeling this chief was about to get into huge trouble today. Just then, the bell in the association chimed. The exams were over. Soon, candidates poured out of the hall. With his keen eye, Zhu Can immediately noticed Lin Jin among the crowd, so he called, "Appraiser Lin, over here." Lin Jin noticed Zhu Can beckoning him as well, so he went over. But once he got near, he was dumbstruck. What was this extravagant display? Zhu Can was here. Master Chef Liao too. Even Master Gu had come. Lin Jin, who had just finished his exams, was baffled by this huge lineup. When Tan Lin saw Lin Jin, the guilt within her overflowed. She had wanted to approach him to apologize but didn't know where to begin. Aware of his daughter's inner conflict, Tan Sun went over instead. This had nothing to do with his identity as a beast appraiser. It was purely a father showing gratitude to his daughter's benefactor. "Appraiser Lin, your method of using the fire spirit energy finger to attack the heavenly pivot acupoint is simply marvelous. Allow me to thank you on my daughter's behalf." Once Tan Sun said this, Lin Jin knew what it was about. "She's your daughter?" Lin Jin asked, pointing to Tan Lin. Tan Sun nodded. Lin Jin's next words embarrassed Tan Sun. "Although it was a misunderstanding that night, I was just trying to help her out of goodwill. Forget the fact she didn't show any gratitude. Not only did she conspire with Wang Ji to plot against me, but she was also trying to ban me from the association. You have to do something about this." Lin Jin looked aggrieved. Tan Sun's aged face blushed. To think he was being reprimanded by a young man. However, since he was in the wrong, Tan Sun nodded at once. Yes, my daughter has been spoiled since a young age and is too capricious. She didn't clarify the situation before making decisions and I have admonished her for it. Seeing how nice the older man was being, Lin Jin didn't press the matter. He only nodded and said, "That's great then. But you just have to educate her a little and don't be too harsh on her. After all, girls are easily embarrassed, she might not be able to take it if you're too hard on her." What he said made the mouth of onlookers gape in silence. Master Gu couldn't bear to watch this any longer, so he spoke up. "Lin Jin, this is the rank 3 beast appraiser, Elder Tan from your Beast Appraisal Association's headquarters." Ah! Lin Jin jumped out of shock. Tan Sun had been keeping a hand behind his back so Lin Jin hadn't noticed the beast patterns on his sleeve. Now that he craned his neck to get a better look, the man was truly wearing a 3-ring beast pattern sleeve band. Chapter 80. The Truth Revealed. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Rank 3 Beast Appraisers were a huge deal in the world of beast appraisers. Even Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association didn't have a beast appraiser of such high ranking. Lin Jin immediately performed salutations as a junior appraiser. "Elder Tan." Tan Sun nodded with a smile. He was getting fonder of Lin Jin the more he spoke to the young man. Despite his young age, he possessed exceptional skills and didn't act pompous about it at all. At that instant, Lin Jin noticed the painting. He went over it once and upon closer examination, he exclaimed, "Isn't this the painting I've lost? Why is it here?" Gu Mengzhong's earlier explanation was immediately affirmed. This was a painting he had given to Lin Jin. So, how did Lin Jin's painting end up at the City Lord Manor and given to Tan Sun as a gift? This was what the crowd wanted to know. Since it was a gift from Wang Ji to the City Lord Manor, it was his question to answer. Thus, Tan Sun turned to Wang Ji and asked, "Chief Wang, how are you going to explain this?" Wang Ji was completely drenched in sweat by now. He could only say, perhaps appraiser Lin had accidentally left it behind and the painting was mistaken to be a gift. This doesn't make sense. One can't possibly pick up a painting randomly and assume it was a gift. "Chief Wang, is there something you're hiding from us?" Gu Mengzhong stared at Wang Ji, expressing his doubt as to the truthfulness of his reply. "No, I'm not sure either. It was my subordinates who prepared the gifts, so even I'm confused." Wang Ji could only try to give excuses despite his pale appearance. Then, Lin Jin's sudden words simply pierced through this invisible screen. That could be true. That night, I was so exhausted after appraising that batch of mutant eggs that I fell asleep unknowingly. By the time I woke up, the painting was already gone. It's quite possible that the painting was mistakenly taken away by his subordinates, so let's not blame Chief Wang for it. He must have had no idea too. Holy sh*t. As if he was instantly stripped naked, Wang Ji felt a breeze blowing against his spine. The cat was finally let out of the bag. Mutant eggs. Tan Sun frowned. As if he had recalled something, he asked at once, "Appraiser Lin, you're saying that the batch of mutant eggs sent here by the City Lord Manor was appraised by you?" Lin Jin nodded. "Yeah. I heard it was from the City Lord Manor. There were a total of 11 eggs if I recall correctly. Did you appraise them all alone?" Tan Sun continued to ask. Lin Jin answered honestly, 2 evaluation reports were already prepared by Chief Wang and appraiser Gao Jiang, so I wrote the other 9 reports. Tan Sun took a deep breath. He now had a rough idea as to what on earth was happening here. He shot a vicious glare at Wang Ji and the latter was already hanging his head as his hands trembled uncontrollably. It wasn't because Wang Ji was weak to pressure, but plagiarism was too huge a taboo for beast appraisers. To make things worse, not only did he plagiarize Lin Jin's work, but he also destroyed the young man's evaluation reports in an attempt to erase the evidence of doing so. Wang Ji immediately decided that he wouldn't admit to this no matter what. Yet, Tan Sun didn't ask him but turned to Lin Jin instead. "Appraiser Lin, I just happen to have appraised those same mutant eggs as well, so I'm very familiar with them. Since you said you've personally appraised them, you must remember some of the details. I haven't seen your evaluation report yet, so let me ask you, there's a beast egg about 1 foot and 8 inches tall. The patterns on it are like gold rings." Before he finished speaking, Lin Jin interrupted, "I remember that one. That mutant egg was a wind-slashing mantis of the gold attribute. Back then, what I've written on the report was." Lin Jin spoke eloquently of his appraisal theory and basis in great detail. Mainly because there was a copy of the evaluations in the Museum of Deadly Beasts, and it was impossible for Lin Jin to forget, even if he tried to. He just had to recite it out as it was. Wang Ji's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Was Lin Jin a ghost? How could he remember everything? And almost word for word at that. Tan Sun, Tan Lin, and the other beast appraisers present listened attentively with animated reactions. Sometimes, their eyes would light up, or they would frown in deep thought, or they would perk up in realization. Everyone was engrossed in Lin Jin's impromptu lecture. When Lin Jin wrapped up his explanation, the crowd still seemed unsatiated. Tan Lin, in particular, was staring at Lin Jin like he was some kind of monster. As a rank 2 beast appraiser, Tan Lin assumed that she herself was remarkable enough and could be listed as one of the top 5 beast appraisers below the age of 30 in Jade Dragon City. But today, she felt as if she had been completely pulverized by Lin Jin. Judging by that mutant egg appraisal theory earlier, even if she was carrying a stack of reference books, Tan Lin knew that she wouldn't have been able to figure the origins of the egg out. However, this incident brought out her competitive side. In terms of age, she was similar to Lin Jin. But in terms of experience and background, by having a rank 3 beast appraiser as her father to give her guidance, Tan Lin initially felt that she wouldn't lose to Lin Jin. Upon hearing Lin Jin's theory, she now recognized that she still had a lot more to learn before reaching Lin Jin's level of prowess. By now, Tan Sun had basically confirmed his suspicions. Despite having seen the theories elaborated by Lin Jin in Wang Ji's evaluation reports, while it was slightly tweaked, the arguments were largely the same. "Lin Jin, let me ask you another one. Do you remember the largest egg? How did you evaluate it?" Tan Sun carried on with his questions. Lin Jin nodded. "I remember that one. The fire-scale Tyrannosaurus with a fire attribute. What I wrote on the evaluation report was..." Lin Jin offered another lengthy explanation. At that instant, everyone was convinced. The brighter ones even had a notepad out to start recording vital details as if they were attending a lecture. Upon seeing this, many people quickly mimicked them and quite a few could be seen taking notes. Passers-by who didn't know what was going on might even assume that there was an open lecture going on. Tan Sun was nodding in agreement as he listened to Lin Jin. As a rank 3 beast appraiser, if he still couldn't figure out what was wrong with this situation, his experience thus far could be considered wasted. "Alright, appraiser Lin. You can stop talking." Tan Sun didn't ask any more questions because there wasn't the need to. He turned to look at Wang Ji and asked, "Chief Wang, let me ask you, was appraiser Lin involved in appraising that batch of mutant eggs? If he was, why did the evaluation reports only have your signature alone?" Wang Ji's scalp was going numb as he kept his bowed silently. Tan Sun directed his attention to Gao Jiang and asked, "Appraiser Gao Jiang, was it?" Shocked, Gao Jiang nodded at once. "Yes, Elder Tan, I'm Gao Jiang. Let me ask you, did you know about this?" Tan Sun questioned with a dark expression. Gao Jiang was crying on the inside. While Wang Ji could resist by staying silent, he wouldn't dare to do so. Hence, Gao Jiang braced himself and replied, I do know about it. Was Appraiser Lin involved? He was. But it was Chief Wang who made the arrangements. This is just great. Suppressing his anger, Tan Sun barked at Wang Ji, do you know where your faults lie? As a beast appraiser, plagiarizing other people's evaluation reports was unacceptable. What was deemed plagiarism? To assume other people's knowledge as their own and declare to the public that it had all been his work alone. That was the sin Wang Ji had committed. In those 11 evaluation reports, I haven't seen a single one with Lin Jin's name on it. As chief, you plagiarized his evaluation reports and took his credit. Don't you feel ashamed of yourself? Tan Sun lashed out in fury as Wang Ji's conduct had crossed the line. Wang Ji's ash-white face was covered in a layer of cold sweat. He knew that his credibility had just gone down the drain. The crowd finally came to a realization. So it was Appraiser Lin who evaluated those mutant eggs. Not only did Chief Wang oppress Appraiser Lin, but he had also plagiarized this work and stole credit for it. How revolting. To think Appraiser Lin had suffered such grievances. When I heard the rumors, I really thought that he didn't deserve his status. But now that the truth's been uncovered, I'm truly ashamed of myself. The truth has been revealed. It was Wang Ji who had been oppressing and slandering Lin Jin all along. Tan Sun turned to Tan Lin and asked, Liner, you're currently still an inspector sent by headquarters. In accordance with the rules set by headquarters, how should this situation be handled? Tan Lin answered with a serious face, according to headquarters rules, plagiarism and taking others' credit is strictly forbidden. Besides this, Chief Wang has also abused his authority by subjugating his subordinates and has shown inappropriate behavior. I think he is no longer suitable to continue exercising his role as chief of Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association. As an inspector of headquarters, I'm revoking Wang Ji of his position as chief with immediate effect. As for his qualification as a rank 2 beast appraiser, I will report this to headquarters and they will make the final call. Having said that, Tan Lin took out a communication amulet, wrote down her decision, and with an incantation, the amulet dispersed into a ray of light and disappeared into the sky above. At the sight of this, Wang Ji couldn't hold it in any longer. His eyes rolled back and immediately, the old man fainted.